September 12th, 2018, 2:47 in the afternoon. I was sitting in my Buick outside the Walmart on Route 9, staring at a crumpled piece of paper in my lap. On it, someone had written 4 words that would change everything. Harold, people need you. 6 months later, I'd made $127,000. More than I'd earned in the last 10 years of my working life combined. Let me back up. At 71, I was what you might generously call existing. I had some money in the bank, not much, but enough to buy groceries and keep the lights on. I'd been retired for 6 years. 6 years of nothing. I'd wake up at 7:30 because that's when I used to wake up for work. I'd make coffee because that's what I'd always done. I'd check my email, 3 spam messages and a reminder from AARP about their latest magazine. Then I'd sit in my kitchen and wonder what the hell I was supposed to do with the next 12 hours. Every Tuesday I'd drive to the VA hospital for my blood pressure check. Not because I needed it every week, I didn't. But it gave me something to do, someone to talk to. The nurse, Janet, she was kind. She'd ask how I was doing, and I'd say, fine, and we both knew I was lying. After 6 years of retirement, I wasn't fine. I was disappearing. My kids called once a month. Duty calls. How are you, Dad? I'm good. That's great. Well, I've got to run. Click. My neighbor Carl would wave from his driveway when he saw me getting my mail. We'd exchange pleasantries about the weather, the Packers, the price of gas. Small talk between 2 men killing time until death. I tried everything retired people are supposed to try. I joined a book club at the library. 12 women and me, discussing romance novels I couldn't care less about. I volunteered at the food bank. 3 hours every Thursday, sorting canned goods and pretending it mattered. I took a woodworking class at the community center. Made a birdhouse that looked like it was built during an earthquake. Nothing stuck, nothing felt right. I was playing dress up in someone else's life, trying on activities like they were clothes that didn't fit. Golf? I hated golf. Fishing? I hated sitting still. Travel? With what money and to do what? See things I didn't care about in places where I knew nobody? Before I tell you what changed everything, I need something from you. Write this in the comments right now. I choose purpose over comfort. Not tomorrow. Not when you figure out what your purpose is. Right now. Because what I'm about to share only makes sense to people who understand that comfort is the enemy of wealth. For 5 years after I retired, I was comfortable. Comfortable and broke. Not financially broke. I had enough to get by. But broke in every way that mattered. Broke in spirit. Broke in energy. Broke in hope. I was living in a retirement home without the home. Just me, my TV, and the slow countdown to irrelevance. The lowest point came in July 2018. I was at Denny's, 4:30 in the afternoon, because that's when old people eat dinner. The waitress, maybe 19 years old, kept calling me Hun. More coffee, Hun? You okay over here, Hun? Sweet kid, but every Hun was a reminder that I'd become furniture. Visible but irrelevant. Taking up space but not contributing anything. I ordered the senior discount meatloaf, $6.99. While I waited, I watched the other customers. Young families with kids drawing on placemats with crayons. A couple on what looked like a first date, leaning across the table, talking with their hands. A group of construction workers, still in their hard hats, laughing about something that happened on the job. Everyone had somewhere to be, something to do, someone counting on them. Except me. I had nowhere to be except my empty house. Nothing to do except watch Fox Business and complain about the state of the world. Nobody counting on me except the mailman, who needed me to move my car so he could reach my mailbox. That night I called my son Michael in Denver. We talked for maybe 3 minutes. He was rushing the kids to soccer practice, dealing with a work deadline, helping his wife plan her mother's birthday party. His life was full. Mine was empty. When he said he had to go, I heard relief in his voice. Not because he didn't love me, he did, but because talking to his father had become another item on his to-do list, not something he looked forward to. After I hung up, I sat in my kitchen and did something I hadn't done in years. I cried. Not sad crying, angry crying. Furious at myself for wasting 6 years. Furious at a system that tells you to work for 40 years so you can spend your last 20 watching TV and waiting to die. Furious at everyone who said retirement was supposed to be the golden years. Golden? This wasn't golden. This was rust. If you're still here, if you're nodding right now because you recognize this feeling, hit subscribe. Because what happened next changed everything, and I'm not done sharing what I learned. 2 months later, I met Eleanor Patterson. I was at Home Depot buying a new bathroom faucet because the old one leaked. I'd been putting off this repair for 4 months, not because I couldn't afford the $47 faucet, but because fixing it would take away one of the few things I had to do. Pathetic, but true. Eleanor was in the plumbing aisle, maybe 68 years old, sharp as a tack, arguing with a 20-something employee about PVC pipe. The kid kept saying, "Ma'am," and looking like he wanted to escape. Eleanor kept explaining, patiently but firmly, that she needed 3/4-inch pipe, not half-inch, and that the difference mattered. I stepped in, not to be a hero, but because I'd spent 35 years in construction and knew pipe. "Excuse me," I said to the kid. "The lady's right. You want the 3/4-inch for that application." The employee looked grateful, grabbed the right pipe, and disappeared. Eleanor turned to me. "Thank you. I swear these kids think anyone over 60 doesn't know a wrench from a screwdriver." We started talking. She was renovating a duplex she'd bought 6 months earlier, doing most of the work herself, planning to rent it out when she finished. "At 68? I asked. "Started at 65, she said. "Bought my first rental property with my pension money. Everyone said I was crazy, too old, too risky. Now I own 4 properties and make more in a month than I used to make in a year teaching school." We talked for an hour in that Home Depot. She wasn't bragging. She was sharing. Sharing because she could see what I couldn't see about myself. That I wasn't done. That I had skills, experience, knowledge that people needed. That retirement wasn't an ending, it was a comma, not a period. "Harold," she said as we walked to the parking lot, "people need you. They just don't know it yet. And you don't know it yet either." She wrote her phone number on the back of my receipt. "Call me Thursday. I'm meeting with a guy who flips houses. He needs someone who knows construction. Someone he can trust. Someone who's been around long enough to spot problems before they happen." I drove home in a daze. For the first time in 6 years, someone had said I was needed. Not wanted out of politeness. Not tolerated out of duty. Needed. Actually needed. Thursday came. I called Eleanor. She picked up on the first ring. "Harold, perfect timing. Can you meet us at Cracker Barrel in an hour? Corner booth. Guy's name is Tom Mitchell. He's 42, smart as hell, but he doesn't know a load-bearing wall from a partition wall. He needs someone like you." Tom Mitchell was everything Eleanor said. Sharp, ambitious, making money flipping houses, but making costly mistakes because he didn't have the experience to see problems before they became disasters. He'd bought a 1960s ranch house for $89,000, planning to put $30,000 into it and sell it for $160,000. Clean profit of $41,000. But when his contractor opened up the bathroom wall, they found a mess. Previous owner had moved plumbing without permits. Water damage. Mold. What should have been a 2-week bathroom renovation became a 6-week nightmare that ate his entire profit margin. "This happens every third house," Tom said, stirring sugar into his coffee. "I walk through with the contractor before I buy, but we miss stuff. Big stuff. Expensive stuff." That's when it hit me. I didn't just know construction, I knew construction problems. 40 years of fixing other people's mistakes, dealing with code violations, spotting shortcuts that would cost money later. I could see what Tom couldn't see, and Tom needed to see it. "What if," I said, "I walked through houses with you before you bought them? Not as a contractor, as a consultant, someone who's seen every mistake you can make and can spot them before you own them." Tom leaned forward. "What would that cost me?" $500 a day, I said, pulling the number out of nowhere. "Plus mileage if we're driving more than 50 miles. When can you start?" There's a principle called the identity switch. It says the word retired is the most expensive word in the English language. The moment I stopped saying it, money started flowing. That principle and 6 others, they're all in the description below. The next Monday, October 1st, 2018, I walked through my first house with Tom. A 1970s split level that looked perfect to him. To me, it screamed problems. The electrical panel was original, 40-year-old breakers that would need replacing. The foundation had hairline cracks that meant water issues. The roof looked fine from the street, but I climbed up and found 3 loose shingles that would let water in by spring. I saved Tom $23,000 in hidden problems on a house he was ready to buy for $95,000. He paid me $500 for 6 hours of work. Easiest money I'd made in years. But more than the money, I felt something I hadn't felt since I retired. Useful, valuable, needed. Tom started calling me twice a week. Sometimes 3 times. He'd found another house, wanted me to look at it. His contractor had a question, needed my opinion. He was bidding on a foreclosure, wanted to know if it was worth the risk. By December, I was making $2,000 a month just helping Tom. But Tom started talking to other flippers. Word spread. The guy who could spot problems before they cost money. The guy who'd seen it all. The guy who charged $500 a day but saved you $10,000 in mistakes. In January 2019, I got a call from a woman named Susan Walsh. She'd heard about me from Tom. She was buying rental properties but kept getting surprised by repair costs after she bought them. "Tom says you're like an X-ray machine for houses. You see things that aren't supposed to be there." Susan hired me to look at 6 properties in 1 week. I found problems in 5 of them. Major problems. One had foundation issues that would cost $18,000 to fix. Another had electrical work that wasn't up to code. $8,000 to bring it up to standard. The 6th house was clean and Susan bought it. 6 days of work, $3,000. But Susan was so happy she referred me to her real estate agent, who referred me to 2 other investors, who referred me to a contractor who needed someone to do quality inspections on his flips. By March, I was booked solid. 12 days a month, sometimes 15, making between $4,000 and $6,000 monthly, more than I'd ever made working full-time. And I was only working 3 days a week. But the real breakthrough came in April. Tom called with a different kind of proposition. "Harold, what if we partnered on a flip? You find the house, I put up the money, we split the profit 60-40. You take 40 because you're not risking capital. I take 60 because it's my money on the line." I found the house 3 days later. A 1980s colonial that had been on the market for 4 months. Other flippers had looked at it and walked away. Too many question marks. Too much risk. But I saw what they missed. The problems were cosmetic, not structural. Ugly but fixable. We bought it for $78,000, put $22,000 into it, sold it 9 weeks later for $139,000. My share, $15,600, for 5 weeks of part-time work. Tom wanted to do another one immediately, then another. Susan asked if I'd consider the same arrangement with her. The contractor wanted to bring me in on 3 houses he'd been afraid to touch. By September, exactly 1 year after I met Eleanor at Home Depot, I'd made $87,000, more than I'd made in any single year since 2008, and I was just getting started. October was my best month ever. 3 partnership deals closed, 14 consulting days. One inspection caught a $30,000 problem that would have bankrupted a first-time flipper. I made $23,400 in 31 days, more than I used to make in 6 months. November, $19,800. December, $26,200. January 2019, $31,400. February, $28,100. March, $27,900. 6 months, $156,800. More than I'd made in the previous 10 years combined. But here's what nobody tells you about finding your purpose after 65. It's not just about the money. The money is proof, not the point. The point is that you matter again. That your phone rings because people need you, not because they're checking on you out of obligation. Look, I'm not trying to build a business or sell courses. After everything I went through, the depression, the uselessness, the slow fade into irrelevance, I put down everything I learned, all 7 laws that actually worked, called it the Wealth After 65 Code. If it helps you skip even 1 year of what I went through, that's enough for me. Link below. The day I met Eleanor, I thought my productive years were behind me. I thought retired meant finished. I thought age was a limitation, not an advantage. I was wrong about everything. Your age isn't your weakness, it's your edge. You've seen mistakes other people haven't made yet. You know shortcuts other people haven't learned. You have perspective that only comes from decades of doing, failing, learning, and doing better. The kid at Home Depot knew about pipes. I knew about pipes and what happens when you use the wrong pipes, and how to fix it when the pipes fail, and how to prevent the failure in the first place. That's not just knowledge, that's wisdom. And wisdom has market value. Purpose isn't about finding yourself. It's about finding who needs what you know. Eleanor needed someone who understood construction. Tom needed someone who could see problems before they became disasters. Susan needed someone who could save her from expensive mistakes. I didn't create a new skill at 71. I discovered that skills I already had were more valuable than I'd realized. The difference between working and retirement isn't your ability. It's your willingness to use your ability. Every morning now I wake up with somewhere to be, someone who needs me, something important to do. My phone rings with opportunities, not just doctor appointments. My calendar is full of meetings, not just TV shows. Last week, a young couple called me about their first flip. They'd found a house, put in an offer, but wanted someone to look at it before they signed the final papers. I spent 4 hours with them, found 3 problems that would have cost them $12,000. They paid me $500 and thanked me like I'd saved their lives. Maybe I did. At the Cracker Barrel afterward, the husband said something I'll never forget. "Harold, I wish my dad could have met you. He died thinking he was too old to start over. You're proof that's not true." That's when I understood. My purpose isn't just helping people avoid mistakes. It's showing them that starting over at 65, 70, 75 isn't just possible, it's profitable. That the end of your career doesn't have to be the end of your contribution. That retirement can be the beginning of the most productive, profitable, purposeful years of your life. I'm 74 now. Last month I made $34,000. This month is tracking even higher. I'm busier than I was at 45, happier than I was at 35, and more optimistic about the future than I was at 25. The difference isn't energy. I have less of that. It's not time. I have less of that too. The difference is purpose. I know why I get up in the morning. I know who's counting on me. I know that what I do matters. Before you go, write this in the comments. My purpose is my power. 4 words. But if you believe them, if you really believe them, everything changes. Your purpose isn't behind you. It's in front of you, waiting for you to claim it. Your best work isn't the work you did for 40 years. It's the work you're going to do for the next 20.